Ken Trahan along with Lenny Van Gilder. The shouting is over. It's time for the real shouting. It's time for real NFL football. And, of course, what better way to open the NFL season than having the two most recent Super Bowl champions play each other. 2009 Super Bowl season champions, the New Orleans Saints, against the defending Super Bowl champion, the Green Bay Packers, at historic Lambeau Field. Ties that bind, of course, Joe Lombardi on the Saints staff, Vince Lombardi, the legendary Packers coach. The trophy, of course, is displayed in both places over the last 2 years. Of course, the Packers have a few others of those. And Lenny, one of these two teams could hoist this trophy again. These are two very good football teams, in my opinion, certainly two of the top 5 or 6 teams in the NFL entering the 2011 season.
Yeah, and certainly two of the maybe 3 or 4 best teams in the NFC. This is a game that when you look back come New Year's Day, when the regular season finally does come to an end, this could be a game that impacts home field advantage as you move into the playoffs. So it's certainly hard to devalue anything in week 1. You say it's a long season, but at the end of the day, it could make a huge difference come January.
All right, so you look at the game, and by all accounts, the Packers should win the game. They're at home. They unfurl their banner, of course, like the Saints did a year ago. There's a lot of emotion. They've had a long time to prepare. Another factor, I think, is the fatigue factor. I don't think it's as much of a factor with this defending Super Bowl champion as it is with others because they really had no offseason, so they really did get more rest in all likelihood.
Well, it's very possible. You bring up a good point there. One other stat to remember, since the Super Bowl champion began hosting the Thursday night season opener, I believe that was either 7 or 8 years ago now. They don't lose. They're undefeated.
Right.
Of course, the Saints won the opener last year against the Vikings, so that's something. Yeah, it's when you got a 100% trend there, that's a pretty good trend. You know, in terms of the whole off season, yeah. At the same time, I would put this credence into the off season. The Saints got a lot more done in this offseason than the Packers did. Drew Brees getting those guys together for 6 weeks at Tulane. The Packers did nothing of the sort. So about the only time they got together was to get their rings in the summer. So let's see if that means anything as we go into this game.
Yeah, could play a role. We will see. Of course, more than anything else, the intrigue here, aside from the obvious with the two defending Super Bowl champions in succession, is the quarterback matchup. Two of the elite guys in the league, certainly two of the top 5. Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, one established. He's been there, done that at Drew Brees. And then the other one, Aaron Rodgers, is the real comer. This guy's something else. He's out of the shadow of Brett Favre. He's got mobility. He's got a big arm. He's got size. He's got weapons. He's real good.
Well, these two teams have ranked in the top 10 in the NFL in offense the last 5 years. They are the only two teams to rank in the top 10 in the NFL in offense, and that not only says a lot about Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, but about Sean Payton and Mike McCarthy. And what that tells me is you've got two high-powered offenses, a lot of pieces back that maybe weren't there last year. We didn't see a lot of Pierre Thomas last year. Packers didn't see a lot of Jermichael Finley last year. Those guys are healthy. Or Ryan Grant. Those guys are healthy now. Mm-hmm. So these are essentially we'll find out more about Lance Moore's status perhaps later on Wednesday, but this is these are two offenses that should be firing on all cylinders.
Those are the big factors as far as I'm concerned in the game injuries. Packers don't really have anything of major concern. Last year, they had so many guys on injury reserve and won the Super Bowl. They basically get those players back. It's like having new guys, like having a new draft to get guys like Finley and Grant back along with the others, whereas the Saints go in with the possibility of Lance Moore not playing and the certainty that Garrett Hartley won't play. These are two significant players for the Saints.
No question about it. And, yeah, John Casey, has a lot of skins on the wall, but was shaky at best last Thursday. I think he will be better this week, although it's, you're dealing with less than ideal conditions when you get up to Green Bay. Obviously, there's going to be some wind. It's not December and January, which is a good thing because you're not dealing with cold. But, still in all, that will be a key in what the Saints are able to get out of the kicking game, which, of course, leads right into the one phase we haven't talked about, and that's the defense. And I think ultimately the defense that performs better is going to win this football game.
Saints will have to score 30, I think, to have a chance to win the game. Will Smith, the other significant loss, suspended for 2 games. Starcaps finally bites Will Smith and the Saints in the backside, and that's unfortunate given who you are playing in this game. Turk McBride has to step up. Cameron Jordan will be counted on as well. Outside linebacker, keep an eye on that. Bottom line, Lenny, as I mentioned before, this has all the earmarks of being a higher scoring game.
No question. I could see both teams being on the north side of 30 when the scoreboard finally stops ringing them up on Thursday night. But, ultimately, you've got to get some stops out there. Greg Williams said it on Tuesday at his weekly availability. He's going in with a chip on his shoulder just like his players are. So, Greg Williams has got something special sitting there. It's a question of can his defensive players execute it, get some stops, get off the field, and give Drew Brees and the offense a chance.
The Saints blitzed more than any other team in the NFL last year, and the other number to watch for, rushing attempts. The Saints threw the ball almost 150 times more last year in terms of runs to passes than they did in the Super Bowl season. So they have to find balance, and that's where Mark Ingram comes in, Darren Sproles to a lesser degree, and a healthy Pierre Thomas. Saints and the Packers will have an analysis on Friday morning. For SportsNoah.com, for Lenny Van Gilder, I'm Ken Trahan. Thanks for joining us.